Hey everybody, Thursday night again, and guess what we're doing? Four colors, full color I should say, not four colors, full color. We are doing full color today. I hope you're happy and excited about that, because I know I've kept you down, right? I've kept you down for the last couple weeks, and so here we are today doing a full color painting tonight. And I know it's actually a color, it's a painting. Of course, here's what I did already this afternoon. But it's a scene that is not very colorful. So we're doing a full color scene of a color of the scene that's not very colorful. All right, so we're going to show you, and I'm going to do it a little bit different from this. What I'm going to do is this afternoon I did warm background, cool foreground, and so what we're going to do this time is we are going to do cool background, warm foreground, and we're just going to switch it off a little bit. And another thing we're going to do today is we are going to introduce a new toy for you guys. We are going to work with a airbrush, and so we're going to see how that works. And so it's something new. And for all of you newcomers who have never been here, please go to my website when you get a chance to sign up for my newsletter, and I'll send you the image every week on Tuesday what we're going to be painting. And you just have to sign up way down here on the bottom. Okay, where is it? Right there. You got to sign up right there on my newsletter to get my newsletter, and we send you it. Or just come to my my website here, and you're all good. And for all those newcomers also, if you want to see the supplies I'm using, here are the supplies, the colors I'm using. And most of the time it's the same thing every week. I use my brushes, but I didn't put on the airbrush in there. And if you want to get a link to that not this exact airbrush, it's going to be on Amazon and a link into this video. All right, and so let's talk about our values here and about what we're going to be doing today. So we are taking this full color. The last 4 weeks, we started with 1 color, 2 color, 3 color, and now it's full color. And again, I'm sorry that you picked the image that's very gray, because usually a city scene, is very gray. A rainy city scene is even grayer. But I'm going to show you how to put color into it, and I didn't give you a color version for that reason, because I want you to pick out the colors. And actually, you're going to pick out as many colors as you like, and you can actually make it rainbow for all I care. You can do whatever you'd like today. I chose to make it the background. The background, if you look right here. Hold on 1 second. Oh, what's this here? This is not the thing. Sorry about that. 1 second. Remove that. This right here is the background is warm. And we're going to do a cool foreground. That's what I did this afternoon. This evening, what I want to do is I want to do the background to be grayish blue and kind of a gray, and then make the foreground nice and warm. Just a little different idea, just to try something different, because you see what this is, and this turns out okay. The drawing is very important. Of course, always number one for all you beginners coming here today. Drawing is number one. I want you to get this drawing on there perfect. You have to do the perfect drawing. And actually, if you look right here, I kind of made this mistake right here. This perspective on this little bus stop enclosure is not wrong. Look at it. It should have been, if you look over here, it's downwards more. It follows this line in the street. This is a wrong drawing. So there I did a mistake while I was painting. So I'm going to watch out for that this time. And so, again, we're going to do a warm foreground and a cool background. This happens to be a warm background, cool foreground. What colors I used? I used a lot of different colors in here. I used a lot of different blues, some purples, some reds and oranges, and so I'm using full color. And it just happens to be that it's not very colorful painting. So that's just something I didn't think about. All right, so let's go right up to our tabletop and get started. And first we got to cheers, everybody. So today we're going to be going with a guava lamp hazy IP with guava in it. So cheers, everybody. Cheers, cheers, cheers. Let's open that up and see what this tastes like. I think I had this before, but it was so good I'm going to have it again. So guava lamp time, and thank you, Timmy, from up in Minnesota for sending me that beer. All right, thanks a lot. So here we are. Here's what we got. So, and here's the airbrush. Again, we're going to try an airbrush, and we're not going to probably even use it on the painting. I'm just going to show you how to use an airbrush if you do want to use it every once in a while. I may do it in the beginning just to show you how to do it with a light wash or something, just to give you an idea. Because watercolors can use an airbrush. It's not. I went to the TWSA show up there, and I noticed that a few people had used an airbrush on their watercolors, because there's no way of getting a really fine wash on sometimes on certain parts of your painting. So before we get started, let me just say hello to everybody who's here right now. So we got Dennis. Hey Dennis. Hey Pamela. Hey Mel. Hey Brenna. We got Mary, Marianne, Ginny, and Becky. And I'm sure more will be coming in as we go here, and I'll just say hi to them when they come in. All right, so here we go. Here, that's the one we did this afternoon. Like I said, we're going to change it around a little bit. We're going to make it a cool background, warm foreground. And I'm going to first show you this little airbrush here. Just real quickly, I'm going to show you how to use an airbrush. So this airbrush is just a very compact little thing with the compressor right built in. It's got a hose that's connected to the back, and it's basically a turn on, turn off, and the amount of pressure that comes out of that. I just put it on fullest, and because you're not going to use it, so this is not a professional setup here. This is just to kind of give yourself a spray. Instead of using an atomizer, which many of artists use, an atomizer is that thing that looks, oh, I had one here a second ago, but it's like an L-shaped thing you blow through with your mouth, and I just think, you know, why do that when you can have an airbrush and do all the blowing for you? So you just can go over like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a little bit of water, and again, if anybody's got questions, hey Joyce again. Joyce did a great job on hers. Joyce was one of our students on Thursdays. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and wet my brush, and I'm just going to go do some light blue, right? Maybe a little bit of dark blue. I'm just going to put this like this, put a little bit of water in there, and I'm going to, if you look really closely at this, it has like a little reservoir in there. I didn't buy one that has a bottle or anything like that. I just had this one, so you can just rub your brush against it and just pour it in, like just let the pigment go down into that little reservoir. Reservoir. So we're just going to put that in there. It's a little cup on top of the airbrush. This costs about like maybe $60 with the compressor together. You can get it on Amazon, and I think I one time bought one of these through some ad, and it was for makeup, putting on makeup on your face, and I thought I was getting a good deal, but I got burnt because, ooh, put it right on my paper, and so don't do that. So what I did is I ordered it because it was really cheap, but then ended up every month you had to buy this makeup kit or something, and you spray it on your face or something. But I just wanted the airbrush and the nice compact compressor. Now what I'm going to do is turn it on. I'm just going to press the button right here, turn it on, and you can hear it's going on. And I will take a piece of paper here. Let me see. Let's see, a small piece of paper here. Here's a board. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start spraying. Here's the button. You can see that there's a button right here. You just press that, and just see I'm just kind of putting it on there. See how it's coming out nice and smooth. And I can make a really smooth wash across something. The closer you get and the faster you pull, you can even make dots. See, I can make little dots. I can even write my name, fancy and everything. Look at that. You can do all kinds of fancy stuff. But if you just want a nice smooth wash, let's say we want to put a little bit of this in the sky. And it's just watercolors, just water and the mixer. You saw I put it in there with the brush. And so maybe a little bit blue up there. So it's an easy way of getting a really smooth wash. And it's already done. And I already spilled out already. See that? But anyways, that's how you would use that. You just kind of go in there and you could make a really fine, even wash on something. It'd be really big if you want, but it's just something that I just wanted to show you. I'm not going to use it anymore. I just wanted to show you that you can use it. And if you have any questions about it, email me in the thing. And so who else is here? We got Tina. Hey, Tina. Hey, Lynn. The airbrush. Love the 1, 2, 3 color challenge. Oh, yeah. So this is full color. So again, so the airbrush is just a tool. It's like a brush, but it just puts out air, and it's like an atomizer, but you don't have to blow it with your mouth. So that's a really good thing. And you just go over it, and you get a nice wash like that. And you can see, if I go really close, see how nice and even that makes it. And it's not wet then either, because it dries right away. So it's one of those things you could use. And look at even on the towel, my towel it got on there. And so, but it is watercolor. If you use ink acrylic in this, because you can use ink acrylic because they make inks that are very wet. It's called ink acrylics. Holbein even makes them, and you can also put that in there, but that's an acrylic, and you have to make sure that you wash out your airbrush. And so that's all about the airbrush. So cheers again, cheers. Here's to airbrushes. Hey Linda, hey Barbara, hey Rose. I told you they're all going to be coming in. Here we go. So let's start out with the background now, and I did a little bit of spray up there with the airbrush, but now I'm just going to do it regular like I normally do. I'm going to go in here with cool gray colors, and do the background because that's my lightest, going light to dark. And I'm going to kind of make it into the bluish gray field. You know, I'm starting out with a pretty bright blue here, but I'm going to gray it down. How do you gray down blue? You know, it's complement. What's this complement? Orange. So just put a little bit of orange in there, and it'll tone it down. Orange, and again, we're using full colors, so go ahead and use whatever you want. Use any color you want. I'm going to go right into this person too, because that person, the top part is going to be warm, but it's going to be darker. And actually, that's probably going to be lighter, so maybe I should stay away from it a little bit. If you want to do this with an airbrush and you want to get hard edge lines, you can even use a mask. You can put like tape down and maskoid. It works just as well for an airbrush and stuff. And so, again, if you want to feel like you really need to make really fine edges and you can't make them with a brush, you can use an airbrush. There's no, you know, I saw that. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because I saw a lot of paintings in the show at the TWSA show in Kenosha last week, and it was a real fun show to watch and look at. It really inspired me. But some of the paintings I saw, and I think there's no way they could have gotten to how they got without an airbrush. And just to put and also if I wanted, let's say, put a haze of blue over something, I can just do that right over the painting, and it will not be opaque. So you can get into shows like TWSA. Becky asked if there's different kinds of tips you can buy. I think the needles and stuff is all pretty much, there's certain size on that brush, but I don't think you can like replace this one. Like you can't replace that one. And basically you just, if you're going to be a professional like airbrush artist, then you'd probably get the whole system and take a class on airbrushing. But for this, you're just spraying a big amount on there, and you can just test it and stuff. And it's really inexpensive compared to what you'd have to get, like the big huge compressors, and there's all different kinds of airbrushes and how much they hold. You know, this just holds a little bit of water on the top here, but enough for me just to put enough in there. You know, I can just put some more in there, and I can mix a whole little tube of it. And some people even use these spray bottles. They use the spray bottles, fill them up with water, colored water. They put that color into the water and then spray that too. You can do that too. There's another way of doing it. Some people put colored in there, and they even like little dabs that come in there. So just another way of putting the paint onto the paper. You know, just something different. And then these shows, people want different. You know, they want really clean, and these high definition people who are doing these photorealistic watercolors, they need to have some of that because they're making it so fine that sometimes they need to have it that soft, and that's so just a little bit, and they can't get that with the water. I'm assuming, because you know with the water sometimes you can't regulate it as much as you can. I mean, look how soft that was up here with the airbrush. I mean, it's so soft and so precise and stuff, and so it's not a trick. You know, it's not cheating either. It's just another tool, like a brush is a tool. You know, all these things are tools. The what do you call it, the atomizer. And in a second, I may run over there and get an atomizer for you to show you what it is before the end of this thing. So something to remind me before the end. I'm in my studio here. I just have to take a second and go over there and get one. But I don't like those because, again, you're using your mouth and you're breathing into that. And, you know, I used to play the trumpet, and I just hate having to use your breath to make something happen. And so let's see. Okay, so that's, as I'm coming forward, I'm going to get a little bit warmer. So let's put a little bit of warmth in here, and a little bit of orange into the blue. And as I'm coming forward, you know me, I don't like just using one color in just an area, because all these, even though it's a cool background, that doesn't mean it starts getting warmer. You know, it gets warmer a little bit, and so you can put just a little bit of blue and the orange together. And I'm not using blue and orange just to, you know, because orange is my favorite, but it's just that I'm using that because it's a warm and it's the complements of the blue. But you can use anything. You know, if you want to use a little bit of violet in there, use a little violet. You know, just get in there and use some violet. And you notice how I'm doing the background, and I want to keep right down the middle. If you look at the photo right here, see right down the middle here in the photo, it's nice light white going right down the middle. So I'm going to try to keep that really light right there. There's a little bit of stuff back here, but right here, I'm just going to keep that, leave that alone. Come down. Come down the middle here and get some of this. This is going to be really a lot darker. If you look at my other painting, look how dark we're going to get. We're going to get pretty darn dark. And so this is my light wash. This is my light wash. Now I used warms back there. This time I'm switching it up. And so as we come forward, we're going to get really dark with a dark warm color. So, and actually I'm going to do that right now, because in class I didn't, but I'm going to go in here right now and get some of this really dark. And also, if you look right here, I changed this from the fire hydrants to a garbage can. Only because I don't like how the, I have to stop in my big thing here, and I put those in there, the fire hydrants. But then I would have to really go in there and detail them. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to make a rectangular shape, and what could that be? A garbage can is a lot easier. So that's why I put a garbage can in there. Make it easy on yourself. Sometimes it's just, you know, why make it hard on yourself? So now I'm going to start with some of my darks, because I pretty much got my lights back there. And I went down here, but I'm going to make some of that blue with the darks and stuff. So here I'm going with some darks right away. Just going to go in there. And now this is going to be a soft edge because that's wet right there, right? But if I use enough paint, it will not bleed too far. So see, I'm dipping into a lot of different colors. And it's not warm, or it's not cool this time, right? Because I want to use a warm colors here. Let's go down here. I'm not doing this part in here. I will make that hard edged in there, because that's the background in there. And so I want to have that a little bit harder edge. So this is a spot that was just quite a little bit drier, and I don't care if that's a little bit soft edge right there. I'm not sure why I'm using my round brush. I'd rather use my big brush because I'm doing big areas. And so here's another warm. And so what warm colors am I using? Well, all of them. I'm using red, because this is, again, this is full colors. So I'm not thinking so much as like, oh, I can only use these 3 colors like we did the last 3 weeks. This time I'm going to use them all, and I don't think about the color. I just think that here, these are some warm colors. So dip into a few of them. You know, I'm just dipping into a few of them. That's a warm color. I know that seems kind of weird that you would just go in there and just use them all, but I'm just going for a warm, you know. And if I maybe choose a little bit more orange, that's up to you. You decide on what you want more of when you're actually going in here. I don't like to think about the color so much as I like to think about the values. So important to get those values right on. You know, just get in there and get those values. Now here's my here's the cool color, or the lighter color, and so I'm just going to go down here. I'm going to use my smaller brush because I can pick up a little bit more pigment, because I am going to go in there. And actually, I don't mind soft edges. If you can learn how to control them, which you can, the more you practice on wet into wet, you're starting to start to learn how to control them. Hello, Barbara. Hello, Becky. What else we got in here? Thanks for, yeah, I got into TWCA. It was fun. Next year, if I get into TWCA, I become a master. I've finally been in 10 times in that show. So if I get in next year, which I'm going to practice really hard to try to get something good in there for next year, because it counts a lot next year, because I get my master's status. That's meaning that you got into the show 10 times. And so that I'll have gotten in 10 times after this year, because this year was my 9th time. And I asked them, because I forgot how many times I gotten in. And they told me I need one more time to get the master status. So we've been working a little bit hard next year. All right, so here we go with the little darks. Going right in there, and I'm using them warm. I'm using some purple, some brown, some earth tones. And I'm using pretty thick here because I want these to be, it's still a little damp and wet there. So the more pigment I use, the thicker it is, the more it's not going to run. And so I don't mind having a little bit of little soft edges there, because this is a rainy scene, and so if you get soft edges, the more the merrier. I mean, that's what rain scenes are. They're very much a lot of dripping and scenes that are very soft edged. A lot of grays in here, but as you notice, I'm not using that many grays right now. I'm using, because it's easier to gray something down in the end than it is to get it vibrant again. So here I'm just going to go in there. Kind of putting it a little warm. This one's a little bit farther back, so I'm going to use a little bit more of a gray color back here, and see maybe a violet in there. Kind of coming down. Go around this person. I know I probably should have put some warm colors in there, and also some in her, like some light colors, but I can do that as I go along. I'm not I'm working my big areas, and that's what's one important thing, is working your big areas so you get the beautiful washes that you can get. A little warmth, because purple can go both ways, warm and cool, so that's one nice thing. Using purple, I always find it to be the magic color. You know, using purple, I find to be, I call it the magic color because you can use it on anything. So here we go down, bring it in here. See how this is all drying? So I didn't wet this first. This is already wet a little bit. I'm going to bring this in, and then I'm going to bring this down here. See how it's a little bit warmer. I'm just going to put a little warmth in here. I know it seems kind of weird that it's warm, like because of street, but it'll be fine because everything else is going to be warm down here. And to gray the warmer up, so this is like an orangey red, so you can use a little bit of green. But since I don't have green, I got to mix it, so I'm going to put a little bit of the gold and a little blue in there. They'll gray it up a little bit, the warmth. Or it makes it a brown, which is what is going to happen anyways. So we're going down here, and I just got a little bit dry already, so we're going to put a little water in there. And it looks very odd right now because it's not, you know, I'm working big areas, so you don't see any details, but that's the way you do things in watercolor. You work the large areas, don't work detail until you get the big areas of light and dark done. That's what you do with watercolor. I like to make a fine. Becky, with the airbrush to make a finer line, you can also use like stencils, or you use the fine line. You can't really make a fine line unless you use a stencil like this. You go over it and brush it like against something like a stencil, or you can make a finer line by just going closer and farther away from the actual paper. You just have to practice with it, but yeah, there's not really. If you really want to get into it, you may have to take a class and thing. But if you just get one of these really cheaper ones, it works fine for watercolor, just to kind of use it as a watercolor, and it doesn't clog like with acrylics and stuff because it is watercolor, and you can easily clean that. Now, see what happened here is I got a little bit too fuzzy, but that's okay. We're gonna go back up in there. We can erase a little bit of that. I'm gonna do these little posts here. And now these are, now depending on how fine you get, you know, how detailed you get, are you a kind of artist that wants this really perfect and where you're going to put down masking fluid or tape it, or that's up to you. Do you want a liner brush to go down here and make this really like thing, or are you not that detailed with it? And so if you're not, then you can do what I'm doing. Just go down and just make it, and then take your colors and float some colors in there. Once you get colors in there. And what I'm going to try to do here is, once it's wet, and I'm going to kind of blend this all together right down into the ground. So I just keep on going with the same colors because this is reflecting into the street. So I'm going to go right with the same colors, like it didn't stop, and just go down here and just fill that in. And it's a warm color, and I'll put some other warmer colors in there too. This time I'm going to do the right by the, so this is like bottom of the glass, so I'll follow the pattern a little bit better. On the edge, you can maybe make it for more of the blue, like it's reflecting the blue from the background. You can do that. I'm putting a little violet in there, or a little light blue and the blues I was using. And this is horizon blue, that's peacock blue. Just mixing that together a little bit. See, when I'm doing full color, I don't think like when we did last week and the week before. Yes, we thought exactly because we only had to use those colors, the 2 colors or the 3 colors. This time, you're going full color, but I still want things to harmonize. I mean, even though you're using full color, that doesn't mean you don't forget about what we had learned. You know, you still maybe want to use a 3-color kind of combination of colors to make your scene work. So basically, this is going to be blue and orange is your main thing here. Gray, grayish blue to orange grays to bright blues, I mean, and bright oranges. There's also violet in there, which is I'm considering that to be part of the blue. You know, when I say blue and orange, it doesn't mean it's just all blue and orange. You can put other colors into that. And so here we're going to go right into this person here. Hey, Ann. She came in late. Better late than never, right? so, so here we go. See, we're going to put little reflections in there. And I'm going to put a little bit of this warm color in the front here. It's funny because I'm so different from a lot of those paintings. I paint a lot different from those paintings that are really tight. But there's other painters that if you want to ever learn that, there's a bunch of painters out there who do paint like that. And I've seen some of their work, and it's just amazing how they're tightening it. But I don't teach that way. I teach you how to use the watercolor the way I use it. And it is, I think if you were to do it really tight like that, it'd be the same type of thing where you let things float. The actual way you put the medium down is the same, but you just be a little bit tighter, and you maybe like use an airbrush to get certain things because you want to be really tight. So that line that's really straight, you would have to get really straight. You'd either put masking fluid down, or maybe some tape to make it, or take a ruler and liner, and then take your liner and do that way. But see, so there's different ways of putting watercolor on. So you just gotta decide on what's best for you. It's all good. It's all good. I mean, I love some of those other really tight things, and I personally cannot do that. I just never grown up that way. I'm very impatient when it comes to, I want to get it done fast. I think that's a little bit to do with my work, my job as an illustrator. It was always get things done fast. And that's how come I can do these paintings also, like in an hour. You know, I usually take, in my class on Saturday morning, I do one in 20 minutes. And so those are, it varies fast, and I don't talk very much. I just get it done. So here I'm talking a little bit, and so it's taking a little bit longer time. So give me about an hour, and we can get it done. And also, please ask questions. Remember, ask questions. Here I'm putting some cool things back here while this other stuff in front dries. Here's little lamps, and I'm making them cool this time instead of warm. This on the other painting was all warm because I made the background warm, and this I decided I'm going to make it opposite that. I'm going to go with the cool background, warm foreground. And what was, somebody had asked, what was the actual photograph? What was in the actual photograph? It was pretty much a lot of grays, and there wasn't really so much like where the background was cool or warm. It was a lot of grays, so the background was gray, the foreground was gray. It's just more darker and lighter. And basically, the only color in this was this little sign right here, hanging on the edge of like what do you call those, telephone pole or the pole signs that you see out there. That was red, and that was really vibrant, and so that alone was like in the background, and that was so bright. It's like, well, if you did that like that in the photo because it was that way, then it would show up too much. And so I changed the photos to make it better for the artist. And I gave you this black and white only because I want you to think about and it's part of our big thing that we're doing this week anyways, was that you're going to make up the colors yourself. You make up the full color version of this, and it just helps you to learn how to mix colors, how to use colors. You have to do that on you don't want to just copy the photograph every time, because sometimes like that, if that's really red, then you're doing something that's not right. You're bringing that forward, too far forward. And so we don't want that to come forward. We want that to stay back in the background. And so that's why I made you do this whole assignment, so that you would, and I gave you only in black and white because I want you to think about it. Think about what you're doing. Think about those colors. You can use any colors you want, and also if you use the right values, you can use any color. You can use the wrong color back there. You can make everything warm. You can make it all one color, like we did when we did one color or two colors. So you can do all that kind of things, and it wouldn't matter if you got the values right. The colors are just another way of helping you, though. I mean, it's so great to be able to use another color to make your painting look cool. And so now we're going to go right into the lady here. And so we're going to go with the lights first. And so I'm heading over here with the lights. Let me get over this way. I'm leaning over. Actually, cheers, everybody. Cheers. This is pretty good. This is about a number 7 paintbrush, 7 or 8 paintbrush beer. I rate my beers from 1 to 11 because 11 is my favorite number. But that's about a 7. That's about a 7 beer. And so here now, we're doing the lady. Okay, so let's make, I will do the red thing again on her. even though I did that on the other painting too. But I'm not going to do a blue umbrella. I just feel red umbrellas is it's kind of a thing. I used to do paint parties, and that was always the most favorite of all the paint parties. They love doing a red umbrella, the red umbrella paintings. So I put the red umbrella here, and now this is going to be light against the dark, and this is going to be dark against the light in the background. Always juxtaposition your lights and darks. All right, and then her backpack, I'm going to make red too. Matching backpack. And I probably should put her lighter coat on first, but oh well, too late. And then I'll go in now. Let's see. Let's make her coat. I don't make it warm because I think I'm gonna make it cool too, but a bright blue this time, like I did here. I think maybe I'll just make it the same as I did there, like a bright blue, or yeah, I guess I will do that. It'll be a little bit opposite of what is there, you know, because the background is cool and the foreground's warm, but because I've got all this warmth, it'd be kind of nice to have a little bit of a different color. Like I said, most of this is going to be blue-orange in the blue-orange field, so that's what I'm kind of going for in my color schemes. Here I'm using peacock blue. And I'm putting a lighter part of peacock blue in there. I mean, if you can get some of the darks in there right away, that's fine. If you can control the pigment to give yourself some darks in there, then do that. You know, it's always good to do it in the first wash. It's harder to control your watercolor when you have to work all in the wet wash, but the better you get, the more and more you paint, the better you get, and you can start doing that, where you can add your darks in right away. So watch this. I'm just going to put some of the darks in right into the blue, and so that they'll be soft edged. So if I look at my picture right here underneath the arm, here's a little bit hard edged, or it's a soft edged that is darker. It almost goes to black. The thing goes right underneath the backpack. We get a little dark in there. So see how thick I'm using it? And by using it thick, without any water in my brush, I can then create edges in a wet wash. Very important thing for the beginner and just the average watercolors to learn how to do. Gotta learn how to control that pigment. In my classes, that's what I teach a lot of. I teach you a lot how to get that control. I mean, you have to get that control. Otherwise, we do that the first couple of days because we can't go farther until you learn that control in a wet wash. You need to know how to do that. Now we're going to go down here to the legs. I'm going to start out with a warm color here. Come down. You notice I kept a lot of this down here in the white, because like I said before, I want this area down here to be light right through the middle. I can always darken. It's easy to darken something. It's harder to make it light again because then you got to scrub out. So that's why I'm not putting anything in there yet. I'm just going to wait. I'm going to put it there in a second as a fine wash. Or I'm going to use my airbrush to show you my airbrush again, to show you how you can use like an airbrush to make a fine spray over something. Yeah, that's why I did it. that's why I did it. Yeah, of course. Let's see, any questions? Are there amateur art shows maybe online? I wouldn't, just go for the gusto, go for the big ones. Don't have to, there's some people that, you get in there if you want to show your best work. And so if you're going to show your best work, I know they're like smaller clubs, they're not as big as like an AWS, but you can enter shows, any of the shows like AWS, and actually tomorrow is the last date for NWS, National Watercolor Society. So enter NWS. You can go online right now, put in National Watercolor Society. Their deadline is tomorrow. So enter that and put in your best work. And if you get in as an amateur, hey, look at that. I mean, that shows that you're not that much of an amateur and you're going to get in pretty good. There are clubs, I think, that are smaller, but they're all going to show their best work. So it's always going to be tough, probably. It's like you don't get a free ride just because it's a smaller show. And it's probably even harder sometimes because, there's good people, and they like to do all their work in the shows and stuff, and they know what, if they've been doing them a lot, they know what people are looking for. Basically, what they're looking for is the wow factor. That's what I look for. I'm a judge. I look for a painting that just wows me. You know, I go in there and I look around and I look at each painting, and then the paintings that stop me, those are definitely getting in, and those are probably the ones that also win the awards, because I've got to go up and stops you in its track. You kind of like go by and you go, wow. So that's the wow factor. Get your wow factor in your paintings, and a lot of times it has to do with what you're painting. So you know, if you're really good at painting something, and paint that thing, and then send it into a show. Don't send in your work that you're working on, like this stuff. That's not going to be acceptable, for one, and because you want to put stuff in that you're getting really good at and practice on it. This is experimenting. This is learning. What we're doing here, the paintings that you do here, that's for learning. You learn how to do something and then take it. You can sell them and you can put them in like maybe local shows and stuff, but don't put them into a national show, because it's not your photograph, it's not your idea. You come up with your ideas and then just submit them. The photos that you may have taken, or so. Give that a shot. Definitely give it a shot. It's you can't get an award, or you can't get in unless you enter. So you got to enter. And they are, like, I get the bigger ones are really expensive. They're kind of expensive to get into, but it's kind of fun seeing what your peers have done, and you got into a show that that pretty much professionals like AWS and TWSA and NWS. They're hard shows to get into. I mean, every watercolorist wants to get into those shows, and so there's a big competition in that. So here I'm just kind of putting in these darks and such, and just kind of put those all together. See how you can't really tell what's happening in here, because everything's kind of dark, and just I made sure that this line goes all the way up into the top there, and that's a lot of it, the drawing. Make sure you get the drawing right. And down here, that's going to be shadowing. And when I put these lines in here, that'll give the ground down a little bit more. It'll make the lines and the perspective work a little bit better too. So now I'm going to go in here and just work on my figure, and then we're going to do a little bit of the detail, and we'll be done again. How much time we got? Oh, we got plenty of time. Yeah, Pamela says that like a lot of the shows, a lot of people, a lot of little art clubs have shows that are local and stuff, and those are great to get into, especially because all the people, and they usually, it's just the people in the area that can submit to those anyways, and so definitely find out those shows. It also gives you a goal, to try to get into these shows and stuff. It's like work. I mean, it's not easy to get into these shows, but it makes you better by the more you do. And so work at it. Give yourself some time. Do a painting for a show. Try to figure out a painting, something that you think is going to be different for you, that you're really good at, that you can find that you're a little bit better at. And people always say that maybe when you do that certain subject matter, it's like, wow, I've never seen that before, or something like that. Just submit those. Those are the ones that you want to wow the judge with. So now I'm going in here, putting a little bit more detail in. The side is a little bit lighter, and just putting big shapes in. I'm not going for detail like I'm not putting in little details like the pattern on the thing. I'm just going for the big overall shape to give it shape. This hat up here, you got a big hat there. I think it's a winter jacket, so it has a little bit of shape to it, and so we're going to put that in there. Maybe here's a collar. All right, now let's get into our building a little bit. And actually, let me show you how to rub out. Let me show you how to rub this out. So here, I'm going to turn this around real quick. And so what I'm going to do is this bled, and I didn't want that to bleed before. And so I'm just going to take some water and get some paper towel ready. And all I'm going to do is just rub it, and just kind of go rub across the top of this. And I just tap down on it. And then just take that out of there, because I wanted it to be a little bit sharper edge to show the edge of that structure right there. And then I'll wait for it to dry until I put the cool color back in there. I can't do anything a lot of times when it's wet, because I can't get a hard edge in there, so I have to wait for it to dry. So that's how I just kind of straightened that up again. But now I know there's a little bit of a mess up there, but that comes back later when it's dry, and I can go back in with some grays and some bluish grays back there. I'm going to get some bluish grays by just mixing my blue into this mess right here. Just go like that, just make a mess right there, and then I'm just going to go in here and like in the background, just kind of put a little bit of line work in there. I don't know what this is back there, but I want it to be blue, and I just want it to be toned down a little bit so that my eye comes into this area where it's lighter. So I'm just putting a little gradation over this, and it doesn't have to be anything in particular, and I'm just putting in there a little bit. So, and this is supposed to be like a piece of glass here, so I can even like make it look like it's reflecting a little bit. See, it's like reflecting, make it a little bit, because this is glass right here, and so I'm just putting a little reflection into the glass by pulling out. Again, pulling out of the paper is not a bad thing. A lot of people do it. A lot of artists that they used to be illustrators, they learn how to do that because you pull out some of the paint. Here I can even pull out like a line of dark, and I just tap it like this, and see how I got a little line right there? That was just by pulling out. And certain papers work better than others. This one, being Stonehenge Aqua, Legion Stonehenge Aqua, works really well on that. Works super well on that. Arches not so much, because arches sucks into the paper a little bit more. So it's a little bit harder to do that in arches. But here, look at this. I can just go across here, put a little bit of water down, and it just pulls it right up. Which is a bad thing sometimes for people who can't do a one wash and one wash. Can't do a one wash and one wash. There we go. Oh, cheers, everybody. Cheers. All right, so let's go into this part here. Now, my garbage can, I almost forgot here, so I'm going to lighten that up again because I kind of went over it. So I'm going to lighten the top a little bit, and I will brush away the outside here. And you can still make a area that's brushed away look clean. You just have to make sure that you float colors on top of that afterwards. So let's say I want to do wet this whole garbage can again because I just didn't get it right there. I'm going to wet it, but then I'm going to let it float. And you're floating your pigment means that it's floating on top, and don't brush it too much. Just kind of push it in. Then take some little bit more fresher color, and then just lay it right on top in the water, and let it be fresh. Let it sit there, and let it sit on top of the water. That's how something gets fresh. Not by you rubbing it and trying to blend it. That doesn't do anything. Blending doesn't work with watercolor. Blending works with like pastels and with oils. But watercolor, you let it blend itself because you let the water blend it. I'm putting a little bit of a shadow back there. I know that's not there. I'm just making that up, but it looks better than the fire hydrant that I put in there last time. So I just didn't like that fire hydrant. Here I put the bottom of the building in. And here's the bottom of this part of the building. I'll put that in there. Then back here, there's a little bit of a, behind these pillars, there's the part of the building. I'll put that in there. And maybe I even put another line right here. Let's put some color in there too, because just to separate that a little bit, and put a little color in there. You know, don't be scared of putting color on top of a wash. You can put it, I don't care if it's dark or light, you can put that on top of water. Because it'll float, and it's going to look fresh. I don't care what you do in there, what color. You can put any color you want in there. Doesn't matter, light or dark, if it's watery and floating. That's why I always talk about floating your pigment, because it's the best way of doing something to make it look really fresh. It's always been that ever since I said that, float your pigment, everybody kind of got it. They understood what I was talking about. It made more sense to them. That it's basically pigment floating on top of water, on the top of a puddle of water. And that's how you get a really, really nice, fresh wash. Now this part I'm making darker. I'm making a darker line. So these are the lines that break your mama's back, right? If you ever heard that saying. Hopefully you heard that saying. Otherwise you're thinking, what the hell is he talking about? Okay, so there we go. We're going to go down here, put this in there. Now I'm doing this so that, like I said, I remember I said I was going to make this darker in there, but I'm going to do it with the airbrush just to show you how you can then take the airbrush afterwards and make a different color on something and still make it look fresh and really clean. And so let's get a little bit darker here with this. Here I can do both. I can rub out and make it darker. You can't tell you how important these lines are. It just makes everything look more realistic. Because there are those cracks in the floor that are in the sidewalk. They're there. So it just helps it to make it show the perspective and all that stuff. Now here I'm going to take my bigger brush, and the side of the building that has some, it has some different texture and panels that are a little bit darker. So I'm going to do that like it's part of the building. And I'll do that on this side here too, like it's over here and maybe over here and maybe up here. And then we're going to take and let's see, what else can we do in there? Here's a little plaque right there. And then on the side of the building, it also, which is really weird because it's kind of reflective, the side of the building. So we're just going to put a little bit of the blue because it's reflecting the background. So it's not warmer here, it's going to be cooler. And so I'm going to just reflect some different, these are reflections from the background. So it's just a little bit of little lines back there. Put this into the street. Here, just gonna have a little bit of, there we go. This lady in here, she looks like a ghost, so I'm gonna give her a little bit more color in here. Give her a little bit more something. Maybe some striped shirt here. Maybe some blue jeans. Her hair looks like it's a ghost, so we're gonna give her some darker hair. Again, this is not that tight, and I did that especially because this is more of a looser painting. It's not a tight painting. Again, when you go to the show, if you go to a lot of these shows, AWS, you're going to find all different styles, and my style is looser, and my teaching is a teacher of looser style than it is a tight. I remember going to Kanuga water media workshops, and there I remember, what's her name, Soon, the artist Soon. She did some, oh my god, the tight, and it took them a whole week to do one painting, and I had to start it a month before they got to this workshop. So it's a different kind of workshop. It's going to be different if you go in for that. If you're going to learn how to do really tight, it's a different thing. All right, one more thing here. How are we doing on time here? Oh, we got plenty of time. Time to take out the airbrush again to show you the airbrush one more time. I'm gonna put a little wash over this, but let me first just get these in here. Little lines in there to. And now I'm going to use a really dark, almost black here, with black with the warm color inside the umbrella here, just to get your contrast up here. And then maybe a little bit of more of an orange for her hair, like it's lighter right in that one part. And then we got a little thing on top of the umbrella here. Okay, let me show you this airbrush one more time to show you how I can take the airbrush and go over it. Let's say like this is pretty white and there's not much color down here. Well, we're going to change that with an airbrush. I mean, I could do it with this brush. I could go over it, but then I'm going to get some watermarks and such. But with this, if I just take this, fill up my brush, and I'm going to take, let's see, what color? I'm going to take a orange, like this orange color right here. I'm going to fill it up with orange. And I'm first going to get some warmth down here. So a lot of water, a little bit of some paint, fill it up. Just kind of, I'm taking my brush and I'm putting in water, put it into pigment, and I'm just going across the side of it, like rubbing my brush across the side of there. Turn on the air compressor, give yourself a piece of scrap, and see, I'm just kind of the right orange. See that? How light it is? And so if I go like this, I can just real easily make the orange in there. Let me show you closer up. See, I'm just going to go in here. I'm just spraying real lightly, and it's just a, see how it automatically appears? Because it's not, and it's dry right as you put it down. It just kind of dries because it's a very fine spray. Very kind of fine spray. And so let's say I want to warm up this area up here. And just warm it up. See, I'm just making a little bit of warmth. A little bit of warmth. Now let's pour this out. I'm just going to take it in there, dump it in there, cleans it out, spray it a few times. See how it's just spraying? You can see that. I'm just going to spray there. Now it's cleaned up with that color. There's nothing inside there. It's all cleaned out. Now I'll take and I'll rinse my brush, and now I'll get some blue. And I'll put some blue right down here just to make it a little bit darker. I'll take a darker blue this time. Maybe just take what's in my palette here. It's a gray, and so just take that and just rub it against the edge of this little cup that's on top of the airbrush. Get some water. Okay, there we go. I think we got enough of that. Maybe a little bit more bluer. Always test it first too. Don't just go under paper unless you test it. See, I'm just gonna go. Oh, look at that! Look at that! See how nice that comes out? It's just a, you know, it comes out really smooth. So I'm gonna go down here and just make it a little bit darker on the bottom. Maybe on the edge here a little bit. Come down. It makes things darker, but I don't have to worry about getting any watermarks or anything, because it's basically, I'm going in there and just making a line. I can also make lines by, I think Becky was asking me before, how do you make some lines? Well, you can go like this really fine. See, I go real close. I go real close to it and I make it fine. Now I'm out of water again. So, I mean, you have to do a lot of this when you're, because I'm just doing with my brush, and so I'm not picking up much of the pigment, or not much of the water that I'm putting in here. So you can get ones with a big reservoir where you can put a lot in there, and you can actually buy watercolors that are mixed already for you. But you just mix them in a little cup, and there you go, a little darker. Here, I sprayed again down there. So again, like I said, if you want to make a line, or you take a, you want to mask something, you take another board, take a board and go like this, and just, you know, go across it, and there you get a hard edge line. You see how the line is hard edge there then? So one way or another, you can get a hard edge. So if I did like this, let's say I wanted to put this right here and just get a hard edge right here. Look at this, watch this. There you go, now you got a hard edge going down. You know, it's just, there's different ways of doing things, and this is one of those things that I think some people who are artists decided, you know, they thought, well, I'm a good watercolorist, but hey, there's this tool out there called the atomizer, and atomizer I think it's called. And but there's also an airbrush, so it's the same type of thing. If you wait 1 second, I will get a atomizer here for you. I'll just show you what that is. 1 second. Okay, this right here. So this is an airbrush. This is an atomizer. Comes in a little box here. And so this is an atomizer where you bend it like an L shape, and you put this into like a little jar, and this part right here you blow into, and you blow into, this goes into a jar. This goes into like a jar, or into your beer. If you want to spray with beer, you can just put it into your beer and then blow, and then you blow it like you would the airbrush. The airbrush will then take it and then you blow onto the area, and it gives you the same kind of effect. Though some of it, I've used the atomizer, and a lot of times I find that it spurts out a little bit more. You get a little bit more dots on it. But I'm not very good at using the atomizer, but you can try it. You can get them online. You can get them at Amazon, or art stores have them. All art stores have them. And so there's the airbrush, and that's, and then look one more time at the painting to see what I can do here. Any more questions? So the airbrush again is just another tool. So if you want to try it, they even have classes in airbrushing and stuff, and it's a whole different thing though. They're doing it with acrylics, and they're doing it for some almost illustrative type of things. But I find that I think a lot of watercolors are starting to do that, starting to use it, and you can get one of these. Like I said, you can get one. They even make ones where they don't have this part, but they have it in a battery. It's like in a pack, and it's part of the airbrush. So it'd be like this with a little bit of this tube going down here. You hold the actual tube, and then you spray with that, and you still have this everything on top, but the actual compressor is built into the airbrush, and I think there's a battery in there, and you can use that too. They have those. They're all about close to like $60 is what it usually ends up being. So just to let you know. All right, so one more thing. Let me just go here, one more thing, and then we're all done for today again. Let me just get in here, and I hope you learned something about full color and about colors in general. Again, go for your color scheme. Try to figure out your color scheme. This has been orange and blue. Is basically, even though there are other colors in there, it's basically orange and blue. Any more questions about the airbrush? Or and actually, like I said, I don't know much about airbrushes. I just know that it's a simple thing to use when you just use it with water and the pigment. You have no problem with it, I find. And don't practice on your paintings, practice on a sheet of paper, and mix yourself up some colors, and you can just spray it. And then if you want to start out with just spraying from a mister, you can do that too. You put your color inside these misters, and you can do the same thing with spraying. It's just that it doesn't get as fine. You know, sometimes it even spatters out, so you just have to watch that. But I know that a couple of artists out there have things that are misters or sprayers that do that, where they put it out there. Let me just take the tape off. I'm using soft tape again this week. Soft tape is that tape that Holbein sells that is just really nice because it doesn't rip the paper, and it's very nice and thin, and it's not so sticky that it rips paper, but it prevents the water from going on underneath it, which I really love, that you don't get with masking fluid. Or I mean masking tape, not masking fluid. All right, let me just take off my gun here. Let me just show you the two paintings. So again, this was cool background, warm foreground, warm background, cool foreground. Which one do you like? well, let you see. Here I did when I came right with the perspective. This was off a little bit. I was off a little bit like on that, but both I like. I like both of them a lot. It's your choice. You know, it's all depends on what you kind of like. Give it a try, or give both of them a try. Try both, or give it a whole different color scheme, or make it all the same colors from back and front. And it doesn't have to be where it's cool background, foreground, warm. It doesn't have to be that. No, it doesn't. You can do whatever you'd like. I just like to see what you do. And remember also to put it on my Facebook groups page there, and to get there, go to my Facebook page, and I think it's there. So I think I've got to put a link actually to that to the group. But let me see if the last thing, if there's any questions. Thanks for watching this. Oh yeah, thanks Tina. I gotta fix that part real quick. Sorry about that. Yeah, I totally forgot about that. I gotta fix that part. I didn't fix that. So that part where I rubbed out, I'll put some light in there. Oh, that's a good idea. Thank you so much, Tina. So I'm gonna go back in here real quickly, and then just put these lines in here. And rub them out. There you go. Be a little bit less detailed. And there you have it. Thanks, Tina. Totally forgot about that. You're always watching. You're always watching. Make sure I get everything done. Thanks a lot. All right, so go out and get yourself an airbrush. There's a link at the bottom of this video. There's a link in the comments of this video. Or for the in the video part there, which has a link to one of the brushes like it. And if you go to Amazon, once you click on one, they'll show you like a million of them on there. So take a look at Amazon and go through my Amazon link, and that way I get a little bit of the thing too. So until next Thursday, I think next Thursday it may be a waterfall or maybe waves. I'm not sure, but it's gonna be close to something like that. But thanks again for another great week. Here, hold on, let me see what you guys look like. Hold on 1 second. There we go. So thanks, guys. Thanks again for another great week. And cheers. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next Thursday. And we'll have another fine project where we're going to probably start up with something that's different. So this last 4 weeks has been a project. We're going to see if we can't find another kind of project to go up for another 4 weeks. All right. So cheers, everybody. Cheers until next Thursday.